For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video on a brand new awning from Outdoor Revolution. So here today I've got the Cayman T3. So those kind of names have been banded around a little bit, and this is a new model for the new season. Now, essentially what kind of Outdoor Rev have done is always took one of their better sellers, i.e. the T3, and try to make it a bit more an attractive price point, and a bit of a twist at the same time. So it's kind of the same kind of floor dimensions as the old T3, with the main kind of difference is the fact that now we've got a fully built-on porch door, so it's almost a proper two-zone kind of driveway awning. So your main living area or sleeping area for that matter, and then it's almost like front enclosed area for your wet-dry section. So it's really quite a nice design, something a bit different in kind of the whole T collection, in a new kind of Cayman spec. It's definitely my favourite, I think, for me, and I think what they've done with the way the entranceway works into the tunnel section is really quite clever, and we'll cover that throughout this video itself. So we'll start with kind of the main specifications of the tent. So to start with, it runs with 120 HDE fabric. Essentially means it's a 70 denier material, runs around about a 3000 mil hydrostatic head, so in terms of waterproof rating it's pretty decent in that sense. We've got it's inflatable, so it's quick and easy to pitch. You've got 1, 2, 3 inflatable tubes, and you can see from my own Attwoolls pitching and packing video, done a little tutorial video through it. Took me no more than about, I think it's about 12-13 minutes to pitch the whole thing, so ideal for going away for shorter stays, but also those longer stays as well. Each beam is done up individually for a single inflation point located down there, so each beam runs on its own. You get a manual hand pump supplied as standard with it as well, and it's kind of the oxygen style valve, so it's like a dinghy style valve, a big push button, you push in and out to get the air in and out, so it's quite easy in that point of view. Material's got a slight embossness to it as well, just to kind of make it look a bit more premium. You know, from a spec point of view, if you compare it to a lot of our brands, I would definitely say it's more kind of the entry price point and entry specifications, but doesn't mean necessarily the quality isn't, you know, decent. So that's one thing. It's not got the frills or anything. It's been designed to create real, basically value for money, create a real nice price point, a lot of awning with a lot of functionality, without a lot of spec, you know, in terms of the thicker fabric or individual features as well. So what we've got is a kind of almost like a teal kind of guy ropes around the point with adjustability on them as well to make it look a bit sharper. In terms of the height and the vehicles that will fit, it will available in 2 sizes, so the main body stays exactly the same. It's just this tunnel section will top and change depending if you went for a low or a mid. The low, which is what we have here, is designed to fit vehicles from 180 up to 220, or the mid is 220 to 255. So depending if you've got more like a Ford Custom or a VW T5, T6, that's when your low is going to be a better option. If you've got more like a Crafter or a like a Ducato style van, that's when probably a mid's could be the better option for you. In terms of the connection point in the rail, it's always going to be about 2.5 meters, so it's more than enough to fit to open a sliding door within something like a smaller vehicle. When you go to the taller vehicles, you are a little bit limited. You have to go to the halfway point, because really you need about 270 to 280 to clear that. So that's just something to be sort of wary of. In terms of connecting it to the vehicle, you've got pre-stitched onto it 2 size beadings. So you've got dual beading, be it a 5mm and a 7mm, to feed directly into a wind out. Personally, I would probably not recommend that if you want to drive away. Buy a fixing kit and use that as the connection piece that goes onto that said 7mm beading, just because that way it means you can drive off and leave the vehicle where it is, and the awning where it is, without having to try and move one or the other. So we've done a separate video on that, which you can check out as well. You also, if you haven't got a rail, you've got a sleeve for a pull and clamp kit. So if you've got like a multi-rail or a gutter, you can clamp it into the gutter. Failing that, there are guy ropes as well, so you can literally just throw these over the top of the vehicle, peg it down the other side, and just pull that fabric up towards it. And you won't get it perfect every single time. It's more of a shouted area to and from the main part of the awning. But one of the features later on is that I like the way you've got almost 2 accesses to the tunnel section from within the awning as well, which I think is a great little feature. There is a rear door in this tunnel section here that allows you to enter through the tunnel into the van without going through the awning every time. Admittedly, again, due to kind of hitting price points, they removed it from the front here. So it is, if you want access to the vehicle, you just go around the back without going directly into the awning itself. The front door, as we can see it here, opens from left to right. So what you typically tend to do is open it up. You can take it back halfway if you want to. and then it can roll back, toggle back. You have got crystal clear windows located in the front here as well, or you've got toggle up curtains to get the privacy as and when you need to. On the nicer days, I mean, this is going to be your main kind of gangway, and then you obviously go into a bit of shelter there around the corner, or you can then go directly into the vehicle from this point here. On those nice days, like I said, you want to basically open it up fully. You can obviously remove the pegging points. This whole section then kind of rolls back and then toggles back on the corner, which can be a bit lazy for the time being, and then opens up your front canopy to be a bit more sizable. So depending on what you want to do, this is a great sort of wet storage, wet and dry area. Because you also can enter for the rear, you can use this as almost a sealed area as such, and then you've got an open grassy kind of area here itself. By buying a footprint ground sheet, which is an optional extra that you would actually cover into this front section as well. So it depends on how you're going to utilise this front area, depending on what you want to go with it. But I would recommend a footprint regardless of what you do. Just for the main body where this ground sheet is sewed in, it's obviously, I think, quite crucial on that side of things. Crystal clear windows across the whole awning itself. We've also got a low level ventilation rear below the window, so that's going to help with airflow down here, circulate the air and help reduce condensation necessarily on the inside of the awning itself. Along the bottom we've got little webbing straps as well, so you can get additional tension, so you haven't got to repeg it every single time. In fact, let's bring the camera in just to kind of get a bit more of a better feel for the inside of it as we kind of go through all of the features. So we're almost like out of the kind of porch area into the main kind of body of the awning. So we've got a divisional door that sort of situates between the front section. Again, it's kind of blank door. So what you can do is you open this up, kind of fully open. This then rolls back. Immediately it is zipped along the bottom as well, so you do get a bit more of a thorough seal into this area. Located at the front here, we've also got a mesh window, which is there. So that's going to be your airflow into this main body. Again, you've got a curtain here quite happily to get the privacy as you wanted to. PVC window again internally, and then we've got a sewn-in ground sheet in this whole section itself. The beams, an adequate sort of size actually. If you look at the T2, which is a slightly different angle, they're much smaller diameter beams. These I'm much more happier with in comparison to that. They're actually what I would expect as standard for an awning like this. So that's definitely a bit more a positive point in comparison to some of the other models in the Cayman range. But this space is decent sort of size. You could happily have a 2-berth bedroom in here or 4-berth bedroom in here if you really, really wanted to. So you've got a lot more extra space. And because you've now got that enclosure on the front, I think that space becomes much more useful. You can sleep 4 people in here with still having some sort of inside space with that front door. I think that really is quite nice. And I have to say, the T3 out of the whole Cayman collection is probably my favourite model. It's worth noting they do what they call a light version, which essentially is without the front panel. For the difference in price, for me, every day of the week, the normal T3 is a much, much better option to go for, in my personal opinion. When you do have, obviously, naturally a 2-berth in here, it does take up half the space. But one thing I do like is you've got this extra bit of door here. So, like I said earlier, if you're in the main body awning, you can enter to the tunnel or to the van through that door. Or if you want to, in the morning, for example, leave the van and get into the awning, again, you can do so without disturbing the people in this whole kind of section. And I think they're very clever in what they've done in terms of maximising the tunnel section by going straight out. A lot of these side-on profiles, when it's a smaller depth in the main body, you find actually it's a very narrow point of where it starts on the awning and then filters out to the van a bit tall. So you get this kind of funnel section. You lose that little bit of external storage space down the side. With this, you still get that, which is very crucial. Mesh located directly on the top as well. There's a little zip on the outside of it to reduce that. But like I said, you can utilise this as a door otherwise. Now this, again, rolls backwards, so you can then come directly into there. There's a lip down here which will drop down and drop back up. Same as this front here. There is toggle points that drop it down. You've got a zip along the seal. There's a little bit of gap down the corner, but for me, that's about as good as you get. You still get the functionality of having that trip-free access into anywhere with a sewn-in ground sheet, but you haven't got the worry about the wind coming through or draft coming through. It's a lot more thorough affair. You've got a hanging point for a lantern located in the section here. There's little Velcro tabs that basically lead you down to a cable inch point down the outside of here, or you could then run the cable into the van if that's where your power source is coming directly in from. You've also got, as for instance, clips. Those are for the bedrooms itself, which are located in here. There's also little Velcro points on the beam. That is for basically Alderev's up and down lighters, so ability to give additional lighting inside of here. It's not a bad idea. Personally, I prefer the idea of using sort of LED flexible lights. I think that you get a better use out of those. And also you've got little hooks, so you can buy the oxygen tube pockets, and that will go on that main tube as well, so you have storage within inside the T3 itself. As we kind of orientate ourselves round into kind of the tunnel section in here, it's a good sort of depth. The other thing you can see is there's no trip-free access in here. The tunnel door, because of the width there, actually you can open that sliding door, like I said earlier, fully within the tunnel section, so you haven't got to worry about that. And then you've got a rear door located directly at the back. So if you want to come into the vehicle from the back, or you've got a tailgate, for example, you can still access that quite happily. Naturally, because it faces the same way as the vehicle as well, what you find is you're always facing the view rather than facing out onto your neighbour's pitch. The main body of it is about 3 metres, plus then the tunnel section of about 90 centimetres. So it comes out an adequate amount. You won't find anything that comes out any further, pretty much, but more importantly, you're using the space along the van rather than obviously the space out from the van. So you're using more of the pitch rather than not. But in fact, let's get the camera up and get a bit more up close and personal with some of these things I've been nattering on about. So first and foremost, we'll talk with the tunnel section itself, how it looks, to see how it looks quite smart. There's a range of tunnel extensions, so there's a webbing strap located here to increase or decrease the point. You can see we've gone straight into the rail itself, and then we've got little points for the beading to go into the rail or into a normal rail. There's your little point for a pole and clamp kit, quite nice and neatly. There's also a elasticated part in this here, so if you want to take the extra slack up in the tunnel section, you can quite happily do so with that as well. And as you can see, as it sits out from the vehicle, it doesn't actually make it any longer than the vehicle. You see how it sits really nicely, about the same kind of space directly at the back, and gives you the sleeping opportunity. We've got low level ventilation beneath the window as well, as previously mentioned, and then the points at each end. As we kind of come round to the back of it, you can see how that tunnel door allows us to get directly in. So if we've got a tailgate, we can kind of come into the awning from the back way, access the sliding door, as we can see, and you see how the height works really quite nicely. And we've got an extra bit of section directly at the top here. The front awning section again is a really good size. Of course, you can open and shut the window as it suits you, but then you've got trip-free access going into and around here, and then you've got a zip located into that main body, and you've got PVC window, low level ventilation, as we said, and a cable entry point located down here. There is little pockets in the tube itself, just running all nice and neatly. And like I said, we've got little Velcro tabs and parts, so you can run the cable nice and neatly down to that cable entry point, as you see. But when you've got a bedroom in here, you can obviously sleep, and having up half the space with a 2-berth bedroom does leave you half the living area again, so you can utilise half a bedroom and half the normal thing. It's not going to affect your access. So, or if you want a full 4-berth bedroom, of course you can do that as well. But you see that doorway, you can obviously have it completely enclosed, or depending on how you want to utilise it, really. Like I say, it's very kind of, the term I probably want to use, it's quite minimalistic in terms of how it sits and how it feels. I mean, it's quite nice in a way that I think, like I said, out of all of the Cayman range that Outdoor Revolution do, i.e. the price point of stuff, the almost no frills, bread and butter features that you want or need when you're sort of with an awning, rather than things like zip curtains, they're toggled. The material exactly is, like I said, a 70-10-year material, so again, it's nothing too bulky, too heavy. In terms of durability, it's not going to last as long as, say, like a 150 or a ripstop, but it serves purposes. For the most people who are camping, you know, it's going to stand, you know, a decent amount of time. It's just those who want the top end features, then that's where, you know, kind of something like the I don't know, like the Versos or something like that works really quite nicely. But it's quite exciting in something a bit different. I think for me, one of my generally favourite things is how this tunnel section works with this space and that space, and having that tunnel door. I think it's it's a bit of a different game changer and dynamic in that sense, just because I feel the functionality of it, of how it works, I think is again a bit unique. There's not really anything else I could think of on the market that you have this ebb and flow in works into, and that's why, as you can tell, I'm quite a bit excited about it really. But yeah, I think if any more question queries, by all means let us know. Check a link below this video, take you straight through to our website. We've got more things like pack sizes, floor dimensions, individual features all listed for you as well. And we've also got a pitching video. You can see myself pitching it and packing it away as well. So we've got all that sort of handy content there that's for you, as well as our latest pricings, bundle deals and offers that we have going on the T3. Because of course you can compare and contrast with other ones as well. So that's really quite nice, worthwhile looking at. But for me, I think I like the features. Like I said, it's basic in terms of the nuts and bolts, that the frills that have on it, but the workmanship and how it's put together is decent quality. It's minimalistic in what you can see, but it's functional, and that's the thing I think for me I quite like the most, is how functional it is, and it's smaller pack size. It's not going to break the bank in terms of the actual price of it. So there's all these things I think do make it really quite a nice and attractive awning, and something that's a little bit more unique in the awning collection that we see from other brands. I think this for me is probably going to be one of the most popular models in that size range. So, but of course we'd love to hear from you and see what you think about it as well. So feel free to comment in the box below this video, or like I said, check the link, it'll take you through to the website for more details on that. But all in all, that's kind of our little video review on the brand new Outdoor Revolution Cayman T3 awning. But thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again soon in our next Attwoolls Outdoors video review.